The plan, as we understand it, is for the aircraft to refuel on the way to Algiers. The best estimates is that from leaving Tehran at approximately 5 minutes ago, 5 to 10 minutes, 4 hours to get to a refueling spot, and then another hour and a half or 2 hours onto Algiers. The plan is to make a quick transfer of the hostages in Algiers, not to lose any more time there than is absolutely necessary, and to get those hostages onto American aircraft, United States aircraft, in Algiers for another flight of hours on to Frankfurt and Wiesbaden, West Germany. That's the plan. Air Force Captain Paul Needham, of course, is one of the hostages, and Colleen Williams of CBS affiliate WOWT has just spoken with Needham's family at their home in Bellevue, Nebraska.
Dan, we're sitting out here with the Needham family in Bellevue, Nebraska. We have been for most of the morning. They're a little skeptical, I think, of the confirmation we're hearing right now, but I'm going to go right to Mary Needham and let her tell you what's happening. Mary?
Okay, I'm still a little skeptical. I believe it, but I think it's almost going to take a visual thing, maybe even until they land in Algiers, you know. I believe it, but I think I may have to see them.
What about official word from the White House? Will you believe it then without saying
that? Perhaps that, but then I'm really going to enjoy it when I see them.
What do you...
You mean the hill with breaking?
But Mr. Allen is saying that he thinks that they are freed.
If Mr. Allen, I would quote Mr. Allen. What is it? He said they took it.
This is Duval. I'm listening to an not-for-broadcast announcement.
Larry?
Libby, Lazarus about?
A while ago that some kind of an announcement would be expected there, Chet.
Thank you, Bob, because we had to listen to it that couldn't be broadcast under the rules here, as you know. In the same way that the agreement and the hitch in the agreement on Monday just seemed to never quite get to a conclusion, it sounds as if we can't quite get these airplanes off the ground. You had the announcement a few minutes ago from Richard Allen just across the street at Blair House. That's the man who will be the National Security Advisor. It isn't quite official, and the wife of one of the hostages isn't quite ready to believe that, and you can understand that. Here at the White House, Larry Speakes, who will be one of the deputy press secretaries, came out and won't deny it, that the planes have taken off at 12:33 and 12:38 just a few minutes ago, but he says we can't announce it, we can't confirm anything until they've cleared Iranian airspace. And this is a criteria left over from Jody Powell and the others in this press office who have left the building an hour ago, and they just want to wait. So it's apparently happened, and it is evidently not quite official. By the way, Speakes also mentioned that over on the Hill in one of those receptions, President Reagan signed a hiring freeze. Speakes is going now to find out what the date of that is. Bob?
So, Jed, it would appear that it is as it has been so much of the time. We think the airplanes are in the air. We're virtually certain they are, but the White House is not going to make it official, as you say, until they are out of Iranian airspace. We'll have more CBS News coverage of the inauguration of Ronald Reagan.
Cedia, thank you.
Yes, the president is here, and we are witnessing a 21-gun salute. Most of his top aides are here on the tarmac. Many of them will be going with him to play. About 400 White House staff members saying, with signs saying, "Thank you, Jimmy," waving signs. The president makes his final appearance here at
from the White House, or from the Carter White House, I should say, is that Mr. Carter will go on to planes where a large group of his friends and neighbors will be waiting for what is being billed as the largest covered dish supper in the world. It appears Mr. Carter is now going to troop the lines the troops. A celebrity without the power. Ex-president becomes...
And you have to have been a president, which none of us have, except for Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter, to know what this moment means. It is not just ceremonial. You are actually giving up power. It is gone. You still have the trappings, but the power itself is gone. The power to make regulations that will mean a profit to some and a loss to others. The power to make appointments that will enhance reputations or diminish them. Power to raise taxes or recommend them. To reward whole regions or penalize them.
To Donald T. Reagan of New Jersey to be Secretary of the Treasury. It's awfully hard for me to say Reagan. Spent my life...
This is inside the Capitol
now. I found out that it's even...
Bill, and this is
for him to call me
the
Reagan.
signing ceremony where Mr. Reagan officially the Capitol.
And a picture of Carter leaving and Reagan signing.
Secretary of Defense.
But Bill Plant is with Mrs. Reagan now. Bill?
Yes, Bob. Mrs. Reagan and her daughter Patty have just stopped to chat briefly on their way to the luncheon, describing some of the feelings that she had.
I just, you've known me a long time. I go from day to day and one step at a time.
Do you remember a conversation we had in Detroit as to what kind of First Lady you intended to be? And you said, don't ask me that now.
Yes, I do.
I'm asking now.
Myself.
Just you as you have always been. What advice did you give your husband today about dress, about speaking, about anything?
I'd never heard the speech before today. Never read it.
You weren't one of the ones who was privileged to hear it in advance.
No, I wanted to hear it today for the first time.
There.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it's the one that I promised I would. The one putting a freeze on the hiring of
Any
federal
executive orders relating to the hostages, sir?
No, nothing of that.
Could you just
There's nothing left to be
whether
said.
the hostage thing is now totally clear as far as you're concerned?
If they cross the border. I mean, let's wait till they're out of that Iranian airspace.
Sir, you said last night...
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
The president is on his way, Bob, to the statuary hall for the luncheon. As
Flight is to take them to Algiers and where they change to American planes to go to Wiesbaden.
And you understand it took place on your watch?
What?
You understand it took place after you were inaugurated?
Well, the first plane was airborne at 12:33.
Mr. President, have you signed the 4 executive orders that still must be signed now to consummate the agreement? You're given to understand there are still some orders that the president must sign.
I had not been told of that. I thought that everything was in order, all the papers signed, and that's... Well, we heard that all this morning, the president told me that all the papers were signed and the objections or the hold-up of the part of the bank had been removed. They were at the airport. The planes were at the end of the runway. And that was the final word until just following the ceremonies in which we were told that the first plane was airborne at